I have always been a fan of Sableye V, but it never really had the right partners in Standard to make it work. With the arrival of Raihan and consistent damage output with quick shooting Inteleon, maybe now is the time for Sableye V? For 2 Dark Energy, Crazy Claws does 10 base damage plus 60 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active. I'll have a cheat sheet up for every match, but basically you need to put 5 damage counters on a VMAX to knock it out. You get there with a combination of Inteleon as well as Zigzagoon and Scoop Up Net, but probably the best card in the deck is Galarian Weezing. Not only does Galarian Weezing shut off your opponent's abilities when it's in the active, an absolute game changer against all those Drizzile, the attack poisons and puts 4 damage counters between turns on your opponent's Pokemon, and not to mention the fact that Koffing's attack for a single Dark Energy just allows you to evolve into Weezing on the spot. Now, this is definitely not a tier 1 deck, but if I see any Dragapult or Calyrex, I'm going to be super excited. So I would like to go first. I would also like to start a Koffing. There we go. I have an Energy, I have a Koffing. I think it makes the most sense to attach the Energy to the Sableye, ditch the bosses, go get myself a Sobble. Prized one, you know, that's how it goes. And I think this is the best start I've had so far. You want to start Koffing. You play 4 copies for a reason. You want to start the Koffing, evolve into it turn 2, or use Ascension to just evolve into it. If you're going second, you can just evolve right into it, and you're golden. But obviously against that Dragapult deck, they were just able to boss his orders and get their abilities. You're 8-8 with Malamar. That's pretty good. You don't have a losing record. That's a good thing, right? And like I said, they just have the bosses. That's just how it goes. You know, they could not have the bosses, but I will Air Balloon the Sableye. I will be able to retreat. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to rely on 6 energy. So if I can just get an energy or an energy search off of this Marnie, I'm in a great position. But if you've been watching me play PTCGO lately, you'll know that the cards never go my way. So at the very least, I might be able to shut off their abilities, but they would just mean look me. But there's the energy. Perfect. So I'm putting some damage on the Umbreon. They do not want me to do that. I think I ditched the Koffing to get a Sobble, because Zigzagoon is way more important right here. And perfect. So 4 damage counters. That is pretty much enough to take a knockout. And yeah, Royal Mink. Malamar is a very good deck, but if anything, if you're playing against anything that can hit your bench, it can be really rough, and especially healing. But I mean, the VMAX Pokemon, if you plan on 2-shotting them, you're fine. You can always, of course, have that crazy play, but you're most likely going to 2-shot them. And Asylum, you just started playing about a week ago. Are you enjoying it so far? And have you bought any of the theme decks yet, or are you trying to play in standard or expanded? And so they won't have abilities unless they have escape rope or bosses. Okay, so I don't think they'll have abilities this turn, and that is great. So even if they evolve into Umbreon VMAX, they can't pull up my Sableye or anything. And this is why I like this deck. Because Galarian Weezing neutralizing gas, if it's in the active, your opponent has no abilities. And yeah, so they're going to stop me from retreating. Obviously, that's not great, but they're taking 4 damage every single turn. And I will ping the Umbreon V, Drizzile for, I guess, a research. Because I don't want to break the lock there. I just go for a research, help myself out as much as possible. There's an energy. I do think I want an energy in the discard. But if Weezing gets knocked out, that's going to happen anyway. You know, I have filled up my bench a little bit too much, but that's fine. This Umbreon is not long for this game. And Asylum, I will look into that after the game. But you're definitely going to want to move to theme decks as soon as you can, because the Trainer Challenge, I've noticed that the difficulty can really spike. You know, you'll be playing just a regular game against a regular deck, and then all of a sudden they'll just have a crazy deck and you can't really compete against it. So my advice would be to just rack up 500 coins as quickly as you can, and then buy a good theme deck like Soaring Storm. Soaring Storm is definitely the best theme deck, so just get 500 coins or points or whatever you want to call them, and then buy Soaring Storm and go into theme and start wrecking people. And so they're putting the Hound, they're sacrificing that Houndour, and Zombizarro, you want evolutions? I will send you evolutions. And you're welcome, Zombizarro. Enjoy the video. It was a bit rough. Okay. That is a victory. See, the Galarian Weezing just dominates, right? I didn't even need to attack. They just couldn't do anything. Neutralizing gas is amazing. Just shuts off their abilities. They can't use their Drizzile, they can't use Crobat, they can't do anything. They couldn't use Umbreon to put somebody else up there. They had to use bosses or escape rope. They didn't have it. And while they don't have their abilities, that severe poison is just ramping up the damage. It is great. I very much enjoy it. And a Moltres start. Okay, that is unexpected. I do have Level Ball, I do have Quick Ball. So I can guarantee a Sobble. I probably Quick Ball the Inteleon. Maybe the Drizzile, depending on what my prizes are. And there's Sandaconda. So this is Sandaconda spread. This is fun. This is probably a deck I'll be building, even though I know it's not great. Basically, Sandaconda for 1 energy. For 1 energy, Sandaconda does, I think, 60 damage, and it spreads 20. So it's the perfect Cheryl candidate. And Tarrant, hello, how are you doing today? So I go for a Sobble, and I guess a Koffing, because I guess I hope I just Marnie them into nothing, and I probably should have been paying attention to what's going on, but I'll get rid of the Marnie. Go for a Sobble. New puppy? How long have you had the puppy for? And what's their name? Okay, so Marnie, I don't really know what I want. I guess just Air Balloon Energy. Okay, so they will have their abilities. That is a little bit unfortunate. I think if I had 2 energy, I would know exactly what to do. I guess I just go Koffing. They're not going to take a knockout anytime soon, so I don't think Raihan is necessarily necessary. You know, yes, I know they're going to be doing just a ton of spread damage. But I may as well just go for Sableye. Obviously, they're going to have whatchamacallit, Path to the Peak. His name is Link. Awesome name. Okay, so they have the Stone Energy. That's fine. I wasn't able to shut off their abilities, and just, yeah. You can pretty much tell on turn 1. Am I going to win with Sableye? Yeah, Alolan Pokemon, it can be a little weird if there's an Alolan version. So like Alolan Vulpix can only, Alolan Ninetales can only evolve from Alolan Vulpix. And Vulpix can only evolve into Ninetales. But for Grimer, Or no, not Grimer. What am I thinking of? There's something. There's some things. Some of the Pokemon that don't have Alolan or Galarian forms on the basic, they evolve into the Galarian or whatever form. Like I said, it can be a little confusing. Just basically, you have to look... Oh yeah, Koffing's a perfect example. You have to look at evolves from Koffing. If there was a Galarian Koffing, it would say evolves from Galarian Koffing. So you have to pay attention to the picture and exactly the wording there. And wow, just ditching all my stuff. Academia, yes, you just have to redeem your free channel points, or your channel points you get for following. Okay, so I have the absolute wrong Pokemon in the active, but I can get it out of there now, finally. I will poison it. So what exactly do I want? I just want the Air Balloon. Hopefully it's not too little too late, because they are spread deck. Yeah, VMAX Cyclone is just a great attack, because if you think you're about to get knocked out, you just move your energy away from Sandaconda and put it on somebody else. Okay, so I retreat, go get a Drizzile. I don't think I attach this turn, so I would definitely go for the Energy Switch. So Energy Switch attached to, for Energy Search, attached to Sableye. I could also go for the old cemetery, and maybe they just don't have it like that. Because they will need to attach to do something crazy. I just go for the old cemetery, severe poison. They will be in range after a quick shooting, or if they don't retreat, they will be in range of Sableye. I can use Moltres' ability, Energy Switch to the Sableye, knock out the Sandaconda. The Stone Energy won't matter. So I think I'm in a good spot as long as they don't peek me. If they use Path to the Peak and retreat and do a whole bunch of things, I'm in rough shape, but there's Training Court. That's fine. Telescopic Sight, that is also fine. It's not great, but I won't be upset. So they're not even knocking out... Oh, they're not knocking out Weezing, are they? Oh, no, they are. Okay. It can be tough knowing what's weak to what. You know, the Weezing's weak to fighting, and then I have my other two Dark-type Pokemon on the bench. Those are weak to grass. And I have Scoop Up Net. I don't have anything else going on. That is slightly worrying. But, so the Weezing is down, that's fine. I can Moltres for an energy into play. I can, yeah, that's fine. Sableye would have to be knocked out. There's Inteleon, that's perfect. I will definitely use Moltres' ability, so I'm taking a knockout on the Sandaconda. And as much as I liked Sandaconda's potential, 60-20 isn't great. But the cool thing is that their Cheryl doesn't really matter, right? I just quick shooting this guy, prepare that for devastation, and then Crazy Claws. How much damage am I doing? 470. 470 with just a Weezing's attack. So all I need to do is poison it, we put 8 damage counters, and then I do 470. I think I'm in a good position. The bad news is I can't really bench anybody else. And if that's a quick shooting, good. If that was a quick shooting Inteleon, I could not be able to bench a Sobble, because they would just knock it out. They would just quick shooting, and then use Sandaconda VMAX's Sand Pulse. That does 60 damage to a Sobble, so I would be locked out of any future Sobble. Because they evolved into Shady Dealings in Inteleon, they're advancing their board position, which is, you know, not great for me. They're Cheryl, that is totally fine. Obviously, they're using the Oh no, they have to evolve. Cheryl only works on evolved Pokemon, so as long as I can find a quick shooting Inteleon and my Zigzagoon. But this is not the hand to do it with. So what I can't really manipulate anything. They're going to use Cheryl. Maybe there's a world where they don't use Cheryl? But they aren't knocking out Sableye, which is kind of rough for any people wanting to play Sandaconda. You know, it does 60 damage against a Pokemon that doesn't have a fighting weakness. So what are you supposed to do if you're my opponent? I think you just sit back and wait. There's Cheryl. I don't know if it's worth it to come up and hit me. Because yes, you can loop your Cheryl and your thingy. They play the Old Cemetery, that's fun. But by them putting down the Old Cemetery, they're essentially saying that they can't attach energy the rest of the way. Because if they attach energy with Old Cemetery in play, and I have 2 quick shooting Inteleon, there's nothing they can do. Okay, there's Evolution Incense. That's another quick shooter. That's perfect. I don't have an energy. That is less than perfect. I do have Sobble. So I think I go for Shady Dealings Inteleon, and... Is that what I go for? Oh, I don't even have Shady Dealings Inteleon. That's bad. Okay, well, how much damage can I do to this thing? Probably quite a bit. I have the experience share. I have the Hoopa. I have the Air Balloon. I think I just put the Hoopa down, put the experience share on the Hoopa. I have the Air Balloon on the Moltres. If they don't get telescopic sight, I'm in a great position. So I will just do it twice there. And if they can't find a Cheryl, then I can do a whole bunch of things. But yeah, thanks to my cheat sheet, I know that 5 damage counters is a knockout, but 4 damage counters leaves it with 290 hit points after attack. So they have to find a Cheryl off this dark asset. And Asylum, thank you for showing up. Enjoy the code, and good luck with the rest of the trainer challenge. But if they don't have a Cheryl this turn, I just win with quick shooting. I win with quick shooting, I win with Hoopa, I win... Running away won't do anything. They would still have to Cheryl. That's not a Cheryl. I think that's just game. Cheryl was their... not their win condition, it was their not lose condition, I guess. Probably a more eloquent way to say that. And there's Zapdos. That cannot do anything though, because they would need 2 energy on it. And I can still just quick shooting twice and knock it out. So I think my opponent's just out of the game, and you're seeing why Sandaconda, I haven't tried it yet. I think VMAX Cyclone, ironically, is the better attack. You know, Sand Pulse with a telescopic sight and Cheryl, that's an insane combo. But I don't know if it gets there. Well, that's not fun. I don't know if it gets there. You know, VMAX Cyclone, you just get to rearrange your energy. That's pretty cool. 180 damage. I don't hate it. And I'll just give them the well played. You know, it's tough to, when you hit the well played and you say you have a good deck, you know, it can be construed as sarcastic. So I usually just give them the well played, and I don't say that you have a good deck. Because you don't want anything to be misconstrued, right? So that's a win. I am still intrigued by Sandaconda, but that's a great win for Sableye. 2 event tickets that I'll probably never use. Can't see their deck list, unfortunately. But yeah, I switched to the version with Hoopa. Hoopa would have been nice. Moltres, I think, is great, but I think only having 1 stadium puts you in a bit of a rough spot. But just having that ability to energy switch the energy off Moltres to your Sableye to build it up, and then also Moltres can just do 190. I think the Moltres version is better. I think if you can put a Galarian Moltres in your deck, why not, right? Why not? And a horrible start. Wonderful. I guess it makes more sense to start the Moltres. That's probably the safest one. Or the absolute worst option ever. So the good news is I'm not really in that worst of a position because Zacian is annoying, yes. You know, being able to just do 3 damage counters would have been fine. And 100 Years, it should be back. Maybe just refresh and you should be good to go. But shutting off their abilities would have been perfect. Unfortunately, I did not. I guess I just go for Sobble. Just triple Sob. I do have the Zigzagoon, some Scoop Up Nets, but... Oh, they got something off the Intrepid Sword. So... 100% I'm going for Weezing. I think I save the Sableye. I think I attach to the Koffing. I think that is the best bet. And they just did the old Intrepid Sword for nothing. So because they're a turn behind, I think I'm in a great position. I think they might have just noticed that I have nothing going on and they're just waiting me out here. But I'll go for, I guess, a Marnie. You know, I have to assume they got something off there. And 100 Years, evolutions will come your way after this turn. But I'll go for a Drizzile. I think I just get an Energy Search. You know, maybe I should have gone for Energy Search Research, but look at that big old hand they got there. No, 100% Air Balloon. What am I thinking? Air Balloon. You have to shift your thinking with this deck. It's all about putting damage, no matter how minimal it may seem. You have to put damage on your opponent's Pokemon. You know, if I get 4 damage counters, that's a knockout. And I can attach an energy to Sableye. I can put an energy on the Moltres. This is perfect. So I'll go get another Sobble. I basically just have an attack waiting next turn. If I get a Drizzile, I'm out of this terrible hand. I'm in a great position. I don't think there's any way that I lose. And you can trust me on that one. Alright, so that Zacian has enough damage on it for me to take a knockout. Who cares about Cape of Toughness, right? I have 2 Drizzile. Oh, there's the Crystal Cave. That is horrible, but they're still poisoned. So it's not like it's a game-losing situation. They're still poisoned. They'll still take 4 damage if they don't retreat or if they don't switch. And if they do retreat or they do switch, maybe I just top deck what I need. If not, then... okay, perfect. Doesn't matter. They're still poisoned. I take a knockout with Sableye. You know, I have to assume they did have a playable hand, and they just didn't want to risk me doing something real crazy. Because there was definitely a world where I could have just made them really pay. Dire Flame Wings. So I think I've definitely stabilized here. I will retreat. There's really no reason to get anybody. I could get Zigzagoon, but since I don't know what I'm getting off this, I think it just makes sense to take my 2 prizes. Yeah, 360. See, that cheat sheet is really helping out. And there's the old cemetery. So if they attach an energy, I'm golden. But, you know, if they could see my hand right now, they probably wouldn't have conceded because they still had a chance. But if you get the lock set up right away, you get that severe poison, you get that neutralizing gas, you can really do some things. But, you know, if you just whiff for 1 turn, if you don't have perfect turns every single turn with this deck, you will be a turn behind. So that's why it can be a bit worrying. But again, it's just another victory against Zacian's Amazenta. You don't care about that because it's Sableye a V. I definitely am a huge supporter of Moltres V in any deck that can fit a Moltres V. The ability is great. The attack can one-shot your Calorexes and your Dragapults. Play Moltres. It's great.